and the ancestors are looking out for us. God Hayes is exposing them, man.
Okay, you see that chair right there? See how big it is?
Yeah.
Now look at the Pope chair under it. Scroll down, look at the Pope chair under
Never have it been made so clear.
Young TV. Young.
We running the game right now.
Young TV.
Time to take over.
Young
We the hottest in the game. Hit that like, hit that subscribe button. If you just not tuned in.
TV.
Share, like on your Instagram, Facebook.
Young TV.
If you tuned in, we broadcasting live from 2030, baby.
Young TV. Young
Taking over the game, baby. Oh yeah.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Young TV.
Get them likes up in the air, you heard me?
Young TV.
Ride by. Hotel Islam.
Young TV.
Assalamu alaikum. Flown lesson.
Young TV.
Hit that like.
Hey, ride by in peace. We got Rod backstage. Get ready to come on and get set up. But we got a lot of clips for you tonight. We got a lot of information tonight dealing around the Smithsonian Institute. Now, for you people that's not familiar with the Smithsonian Institute, it's a museum, and it's kind of like in the airwaves now. Everybody talking about it. Trump is coming out saying certain things about it, pointing towards it, like he's subliminally saying things in a way. But they are responsible for hiding the artifacts about you, the Nubian people, being over here in America for thousands, millions, if not millions of years. And at some point, even you were giants. And this adheres to the fact what the because a lot of people don't like the Bible, but the Bible said that it was giants in the earth in those days, and these beings got bones and stuff of giants. Now, I remember Doc saying that 7 foot is a giant to a Twa. The Twa average under 5 foot, 4'5", 4'8" maybe. And the 7 foot guy, if you ever, like, you don't really see too many 7 foot people walking around normal, right? They all got snatched up and put in the NBA. Why? Because they extraterrestrials, right? But that's another story. But you don't know how tall 7 foot is until you see it in person. 7 foot is a giant, right? That's a giant, man. So just imagine when it was more, because like I say, now I got the NBA. Now they can swoop all these giants up off the streets and put them into these triple letter corporations, which is owned by them, and make money off of these guys. But when you see Shaquille O'Neal in real life, this man got to duck down or walk through a door. This man's shoe is a 26-inch shoe. Imagine you got some 26-inch rims on your car, my boy Rod. Hey, we got Chief Skype in the North Gate. Hey, Rod, I got a show lined out tonight. Like I'm getting more organized with our shows. We got some on the Smithsonian Institute, but we don't just got. It's in the airways now. Trump making an announcement about it, about Umar, the school guy. He said something about it, and he said it's like, to me, he's still playing into the slave narrative, but that's another thing.
Dr. Umar?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
He's still playing to the slave narrative, but And he talking about the African American. He's still using these terms that interlock us into their system, but
Man,
maybe he
every
just
term we use in English lock us into their system.
yeah, pretty much. Hey, you pretty much can say that, Rod. Hey, to be honest. But what we getting at is exposing the Smithsonian Institute. Now, from my research, and this will start my first question, I got maybe about 20 good clips that gonna really just take the cake. But starting out, this is what I want to ask you, and I'm gonna read this right here, what they got on there. It said the Smithsonian Institute is a group of museum, education, and research center. Oh yeah, Rod. They don't like this one. That's crazy. You see that?
Man, that was out cold. You was reading about
what?
You was reading about the Smithsonian Institute.
And they cut us. That's crazy. All right, let's get back to it then. Hey, like Tahuti said, start back from the top.
Take it from the top. Roll the corn. Roll the corn, Elder.
Stop, man. Hey. All right. Let's get it back going then. All right, because this is going to bring my first question. That was crazy, son. Yeah, they let us know, hey, we on there right, we on there behind. All right, so pretty much I memorized it. What it says is that the Smithsonian Institute was set up by the government as a part of a law, and that President James Polk signed it into law in 1846. Now, this is about around the time before the Civil War. This is about around the time they re-implement the Black Christian codes. Why would the government be involved in setting up a museum to diffuse? Is the word they use. It sounds like a code, crazy. To diffuse the information. Why would the government be interested in setting up a museum? And then later, LeBron James and other artists coming to invest in this place. Go ahead. That's the first. We're gonna get more deeper. That's just the first question starting out.
Well, start with the name, Smithsonian.
Okay.
It's a compound word. The first word is Smith, a maker,
okay,
a molder, a bender, somebody who works with a material. He's a smith, a blacksmith, a goldsmith, a silversmith, right? The second part of the word is Sony. Sony comes from the root Sophie, meaning wisdom, right? So as curators of wisdom, what is they trying to do? So the first thing you got to understand about the Smithsonian is a museum is supposed to be a historical display of ancient artifacts. Right. The thing about the Smithsonian is they had to, as they say, be wiser than all the beasts of the field. So they had to use the deception to conceal our ancestry that's found in the artifacts. If they don't conceal the ancestry found in the artifacts, they claim that we came from Africa is blew out the water with a nuclear blast. And we talk about the giants. My family on my father's side got 7-footers.
Right.
And up. Right. My father used to tell me about his mama brothers. Then my father was tall. My father's 6'7". But as he got older, you know, you shrink. Right. When he passed, he was about 6'5". Now, the reason why that matter, because the giants is part of Mississippian heritage. Your Shaquille O'Neal types.
Oh man.
Right. That's old Mississippian blood all day long.
Big Joe.
Right. Now, they also are the ones responsible for giving the misdirection about where they finding these tombs. Like they telling us they found Tut tomb in Cairo. But when they discovered it, they dumbasses printed it in the newspaper that they found it in Mammoth Cave in Kentucky. So why are you telling us two different things? Misdirection, right? Being more subtle than all the beasts of the field, or more cunning, more wise. It's trickery and deception rooted into what the Smithsonian is.
Crafty.
A Smith. Right? So they working a conjure by concealment while we working ours by exposure. By exposing what's been concealed, now they stuttering. You know we got word from Pops, right?
Yeah. Oh, you got word from Pops? What was that word?
Anybody that's not participating in his fight for freedom, he don't want to see him. Period. If you ain't part of his freedom fight, don't come talk about I've been there since the beginning BS.
Yeah.
You know, I actually got it posted on one of my pages to make sure people see it. We popped the master teacher and spoke. So now all of the ones that rather go with the dirty government narrative and disregard how they fabricated evidence and misled the public into thinking this man was something he not. He don't want to talk.
Right.
But I told him it was going to happen. I told him, I said, Malachi not coming back to them Zenjis. He not going back over there. They don't mean him no good. And their actions speak louder than anything they say out their mouth, which is also part of the Smithsonian cover-up. Because everything that he was exhuming in the United Nubian sacred record, in the holy tablets, in the sacred record of Tahuti, the sacred record of Atum Ray, the proper translation of the Torah, the Injil, the Al-Zabur, the Psalms, all of that. He did it all with the ink pen in his hand and the brain in his head, right? So here we face to face with the beast, and we rooting for him to come home, and you still got people in our community that rather believe the government narrative created by some traitors than to go with the facts. They don't want to hear the facts. They rather hear the gossip. And he ain't messing with them. That's for the record.
Hey, I'm glad
and remember, anything we put out is public notice. Notice the agent is notice the principal. They all been notified.
Yeah, the cookie is crumbling. Like we knocking them down. We nailing them every time we nail right, hit right on the nail every time we have.
He literally said he'd be home soon.
Yeah, it's gotta happen now.
Yeah, so we know he don't just be barking. He ain't tell us that in 2005.
This is the time.
You know what I mean? He ain't telling. He didn't say he'd be home soon until like last year sometime.
You know what I think is gonna happen. I think since Larry got Larry got working this way, Doc, then they're gonna be Jeff. Jeff gonna get out right after that because this is a military operation against us since the beginning. Even Smithsonian Institute is a military operation. Why the government signing a law into about a museum? Why you got to have a law? And then you got stuff where you can't even go and see. And then they got most of they showing you the first women and man, like the oldest woman and man, like even at Homo already, they showing you that they was over here. In the Smithsonian Institute, they show you that they was over here, and they show you that they show you that part that they were black people, dark skinned people that was over in America. They got the actual statues of them in the Smithsonian Institute. So they ain't. It's like some of the stuff. If you know what you know, it's like if you walk up in that raw and you start looking at stuff how it's placed, you'll say, okay, I know, I see what they telling me. But for the average person that walk in there, they looking at slavery, they looking at this and that. It's like a different eye. So could you go in on that a little bit, like having that eye to be able to code read how because they alchemists and they got to display their alchemy in order for everybody to see. If you're an alchemist, your alchemist got to be displayed. So when you go up in there and see how they got it displayed, what gives you the advantage being able to read how they got that display lined up?
Well, the first thing you got to understand is all warfare is based on deception.
Yeah.
All right. So in order to hold the narrative of deception that we from somewhere other than home,
Yeah.
right? Then they have to tell their version of the story, but they also got to suppress anything that will go against their version.
Right.
The I to see, that's something you develop over time. When you see them doing the same thing over and over, see, we only talk about the Smithsonian over here.
Right.
We ain't talking about the artifacts in France. We ain't talking about the artifacts in England. We ain't talking about the artifacts in Italy, Portugal, Spain, and all of the rest of the countries of Europe that conceal artifacts under the pretense of curators of museum artifacts.
Right.
They got to control the narrative. Even them controlling the narrative, our ancestors left what we call markers.
Mm-hmm.
So when they try to conceal something, but it got a marker with it, it got a certain glyph on it.
Mm-hmm.
They know what a lot of the glyphs mean, but some of the glyphs, they can't figure out what they mean.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like when you read hieroglyphics, you get to parts where they don't know the actual literal translation of what that symbol is. So they give you what the closest thing they can explain that they can understand that it means.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The I is part of your awakening process.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If your right brain not activated, you can miss out.
Mm-hmm.
That's your mother brain. Left brain is your father brain.
Mm-hmm.
Mother brain control your left side. Father brain control your right side. So even though the mother brain is on the right side, the father brain controlling your right hand. So I'm gonna be my mama's boy, but I'm definitely my daddy's son because I'm gonna use his right hand to slap you straight. I mean, so they have to try to conceal it, but our recognition of who we are, that's part of your genetic memory. I've been talking about genetic memory since 98. When I was locked up, guys used to tell me, ain't no such thing as genetic memory. I said, yeah, it is.
Mm-hmm.
Animals even got it, and in animals, they call it instinct.
Yeah.
Right? But genetic memory is everything that's on your DNA. You go back 16 grandparents, you got like a couple thousand.
Right.
At least 1,000 and some change.
Right.
18 generations back. So you looking at you drawing all of that information from historical DNA coding from people experiencing events. You can tap into that through meditation and mind focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, so
Where they now? All right. Hey, Rod. Now this first clip I'm gonna play, it kind of stimulates the next question, and I kind of figured out the connection with these guys, and then you could go in on there. I'm gonna ask the question based off of this first video.
roll the corn. Roll the corn.
All right, let's roll it. Here we go. Right here, he says
the Smithsonian.
Well, by the way, the Smithsonian is an extension of the Vatican. Okay,
Really?
I'll tell you right now, and I'm not going to tell you how I know that, or believe me, take it to the bank. And I guess keeping people stupid. Well, by the way, the Smithsonian is an extension of the Vatican. Okay,
Really?
I'll tell you right now, and I'm not going to tell you how I know that, or believe me, take it to the bank. I guess keeping people stupid, we're easier to control if we're dumber and believe a lot of lies and everything, But the thing is with the giant people is the way I see it is there was all kinds of different giants. Just like you have all kinds of different people, and some of them were like that one. Okay, let's get on the Kandahar one because that was something I definitely wanted to bring up. If you listen to Steve Quayle, and L.A. Marzulli talks about it too on there, apparently, and Steve has a lot of informants. A lot of people go to Steve. I've got some issues with him, but I like him basically. They were all a bunch of old guys,
All right, Raw. It's a two-part to that question. 2 parts. The first part is It's why would the church be involved? I got my ideas, but I just want you to break down. Why would the church be interested in helping the Smithsonian Institute to cover up stuff in America? And because being the Christianity and all that. Go ahead.
The first thing about the church is the Roman Empire didn't fall when they told us it did. It just reduced its operations to the clergy and concentrated its power in the Pope of the Vatican. So this was who we've been fighting. We've been fighting the Pope and his Jesuits, right? But the Jesuits is not what people think they are, which is a lot of internal fighting was going on in the Vatican. The Vatican catacombs got all of the most valuable texts from the Alexandria Library so that information does not leak to the public. They keep it in the catacombs. They also had an underground prison where they kept the lizard bitch at, right? And she was freaking tall as mud. She's about 7-8 feet tall. And she had wings, but she couldn't come up above ground because she can't be the supplanter on the walking the earth. So she was the one under the Vatican that the Pope was taking orders go. She got executed in 2018. Right. But that's when they breached the Vatican and seized all of the gold and other stuff too. They was concealing from the beginning, from the onset of the church. When Constantine decided to activate the Nicene Council and initiate the church, that was what they call a long game plan. We don't have an understanding of protracted struggle because we think our struggle only go back to 2 weeks ago. So when you're talking about the 6,000-year reign of the devil, the continuation of the Babylonian Empire, that's what they tell us in their book of Daniel. The Vatican, Rome is a continuation of Babylon, right? And then it's not going to stand once the feet of iron and clay is struck with the stone, a single stone hewn without the hands of a man. What kind of smith is that? Because the only way you can make make one out of stone, which is a Masonic reference of the black stone being a stone that the builders rejected. The builders represent the masculine line, as in building with the tools of the workmen. But what about the one that was created without the hands of the workmen? It's created and molded by the hands of the women, right? But he's still a man. He didn't compromise his manhood as one of the ones who was raised by the women and took on the feminine traits, right? And became interested in men in the wrong way. He still grew up to be a solid man. So they not looking at none of that. And most of us, we ain't mapping the struggle for 6,000 years. We only going back most of the time, the furthest we go back is 1492. So I always ask people when 1492, when Columbus came, what was we doing in 1491? And that stumped so many people. Because when they asked them what was we doing in 1491, where the records at? Where's the artifacts? And we ain't new over here.
Right.
The artifacts is all over the land. You can't mistake these mounds. Well, you can mistake them for hills and mountains if you want to, but we still got ancestors buried in most of these places.
Right.
That's what makes this holy ground everywhere we go. Because the ancestral burial ground is the proof of our origin over here.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the Roman interests is a war-related interest in global conquest and the miseducation of the Negroes.
Mm-hmm. You know what I think, Rod? I think that as far as the Western Hemisphere go, Christianity is only really aimed at the people who they reclassified as blacks, Negroes, and colors. Like they don't really care about nobody else, long as they want that particular people because it's part of the traumatized or what's the mind control or what, I don't know what it is. It's different names you could call it, but it's part of the keep the game going. It's an indoctrination to keep the game going. As far as so, because if the church, so this is my next part to my question. Do you think that Smithsonian Institute might have artifacts that might disprove some of the church's view on things as far as the Bible and everything?
Not only the Smithsonian, they got them in museums all over the world that blow that BS out the water.
Go ahead.
You know, then that's the whole thing about controlling the narrative. If you want to conquer people, you can't let them know who they are. Right. As soon as they know that they come from a bunch of soldiers and that somebody got to be a strategist, everybody can't be a frontline soldier. Somebody got to be in the war room formulating the plan and looking through the mist of the BS. Right? So we all, people like me and you, we want to get out there and we want to find where he at. Show him to me. Let me get rid of him.
Yeah, because we tired.
But when you're dealing with this vast of a reach, we can't go head to head with them like that because they got the military advantage. They got the strategical advantage. They got the logical advantage. So we already the underdog coming into this. Speed of lightning, bolt of thunder. Underdog. Yeah. So as long as we the underdog, we have to use guerrilla strategy and guerrilla tactics. And that's one of my specialties. That's why I'm here telling people all of the stuff that I'm seeing, because it's part of the guerrilla strategy. It's part of using guerrilla warfare of a smaller, less equipped military force to conquer a diabolical, expansive, much larger and well-armed force. So you got to use guerrilla tactics. You can't come in there and think that you're going to fight them face-to-face, man-to-man. They got more troops than you do.
Yeah, more money.
They troops is better trained than your troops. They troops, and half of them have been to war, and the other half of them know how to strategize war. By the time they get to be a sergeant in the army for about 3-4 years of that, they know how to run the troops. All they got to do now is expand their information base, and then that's going to automatically increase their value to the structure. So they have to do this stuff. It's just the whole church narrative, right? You got to remember, the church is the ones who commissioned the Huguenots from France and the conquistadors from Spain and the gentry from England to settle over here. They was never supposed to come over here. We ain't had nothing to do with what they had going on over there until they sent their minions over here to drag us into their conflict. So our remedy is, okay, when we get done taking care of y'all, we're going to have it all, because you shouldn't have never came over here in the first place. Bothering some peaceful people that was minding their business. We didn't have no criminal activity, right? But they don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about the first prison was built in Pennsylvania after colonization. They don't want to talk about that. We ain't need prisons. We knew how to deal with each other because we know our nature. They can't control our nature because they not us. So what do? Suppress, subjugate, subdue. Right? Anytime one of us rise up, chop him down. Right? Well, God, what Marley say? Cheryl John Brown, every time I try to plant a seed, he say, kill it before it grow. Right? So they don't want us to become fully aware of all of the dirt they was doing. But sooner or later, they can run on for a long time, but sooner or later, Rod gonna cut them down. Believe that.
Hey, all right. So this next one is a 2-part clip. It's a 5 clip. So it's gonna be like about 3-4 minutes, but it's gonna break down a lot of stuff. Then I got a couple of stuff written down to X off of it. Here we go, right here.
I don't trust the Smithsonian. They're exempt from all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, like there's a law passed not too long ago that if you have Native American artifacts that are important to that culture, especially burial artifacts, they must be returned. Unless you're the Smithsonian, then
They're allowed to hold on to
then
them?
you can make a case that you don't have to give it back.
How do they have so much power?
It's a government agency.
Smithsonian is a government. Oh, well, I didn't even know. I thought it was a private agency.
The Smithson family and the history of the Smithsonian Institute is something that we never talk too much about. There's just incredible underground storage vaults in the Smithsonian Institute where they it's like I call it informational Area 51. Cavern system was uncovered in the bottom of the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon was actually not a small river carving it through millions of years. The fact is, with the Uinta Basin, all the inland ocean that was all part of that, something cataclysmic happened, fracturing of the rock around the time of 30 AD that caused a massive amount of water to go out over a short period of time and carve the Grand Canyon out. There's plenty of evidence of that. Major Powell did his first expedition down the Grand Canyon. Everybody thought he was crazy as a loon. There's this one-armed major was lost his arm in the Civil War, coming down in the 1870s. They mapped this great river. They thought he would never make it out. If you look at the Powell Museum there in Page, Arizona, there's little boats and they go over the cataracts and the massive amount of water. It was an amazing feat. Survived, as we know. He had a Native American Navajo guide.
Yes, we're gonna watch that whole thing. I got something I can go over on that. But
Yeah, we seen that with last episode.
Yeah, last episode. That's why I ain't gotta go over it. But from the first video, he talks about them having they over trumped the law. They trumped the law because, like, you know how it's even galactical law that spiritual items and spiritual sites can't be bothered. That's against galactical law. It's even an international law that backs that up, right? But these guys can break. Smithsonian Institute can break laws as specifically with Native American artifacts. Now, why would they? Now, this is my question, right? If the Native Americans they telling us that's in Oklahoma and all these other Native Americans, if they show us on TV, if they the real people, what would be the hide? What would be the hide? It would show, hey, these are the guys you telling the whole world, the original people, which the half of the world know they full of crap, but the guys they telling the original people wouldn't those artifacts line up with them? Why would they pass a law saying you got to turn this in? If it's in Native American stuff, you got to turn it in the Smithsonian Institute or else. No.
Well, it's not only turn it into the institute. What the guy was talking about when he said he don't trust the Smithsonian is the fact that when all of the museums was ordered to return artifacts, that didn't apply to the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
But it do if it's a government agency, it falls under the Chevron deference. Right, but it needs presidential oversight until the government switch over. Yeah, and I think a lot of those artifacts from the Smithsonian is going to be at the World Fair. I think it's going to be next year. It's supposed to be this year, but the celebration was moved to next year too. The 250-year celebration was supposed to be this year, but they moved it to next year. So they didn't have enough time to clean all this BS up.
That's why Trump. Go ahead.
Yeah, they gonna get it cleaned up.
Yeah, I got a couple of videos that back what you saying. What Trump is now getting an audit of the whole museum.
Yeah.
And the military is doing an audit of the museum. Now, do you think that Trump is gonna come out because he's still going on? It seems like he's still with the African American black slave narrative as well.
Who, Trump?
I think Trump is a secret white supremacist to me, man, with Ashtar Command.
Whatever he is, he doing what we need him to do.
Yeah, he doing something.
he doing what we needed to do, whether we like him or don't like him. I don't give two shits about him one way or the other.
Go ahead.
But he doing what we need done. That's obvious, right?
So.
Because you seeing the systematic shutdown of the entire government.
That's right.
That's when they just called all of those generals, all of the top brass in the military to an emergency meeting. Trump also announced that there was what they call hostile cities, vulnerable cities, what he called them. It's a series of vulnerable cities that they got to secure. That's why I keep telling everybody the National Guard coming out, but it ain't got nothing to do with us. It got nothing to do with it. It got everything to do with all them people sitting in them boardrooms making decisions that ruin our lives. That's who they coming to get. Judges, lawyers, politicians, aldermen, senators, all of them. Ain't none of them, especially the ones that's members of the Bar Association. Because they believe that the Bar Association is untouchable because they was chartered out of England. They don't even know that the American military then took over Buckingham Palace.
Right.
But Donald Trump released a statement the other day about the King of England, and they wanted him to bow. He's like, I don't bow. I ain't your subject. You got me twisted. Right. But he mentioned it because people needed to know that, first of all, if you see King Charlie, it ain't him. It's central casting. He been fried. He got fried when his mama got fried. And both of them still supposed to have been here according to their adrenochrome usage. They were still supposed to be in good health, but they was Gitmo. One of them pale-faced trooper channels, right? Showed the death certificate for the Elizabeth, Queen Elizabeth, and it said on there, executed. And then the location it say Gitmo on her death certificate. I'm like, come on, man, y'all gonna keep falling for this stuff? And they keep falling for the same banana in the tailpipe, but all of us ain't falling for it. But enough of us is to slow the process. Right? But the process is the process, and we gonna make progress, even if we gotta drag some of us along with us.
Hey, Rob, I've been noticing a lot of the celebrities that was supposed to be on these adrenaline chrome. If you look at them nowadays, they look like they went from looking like a young 20, 30, like if they was 60, they looked at 30 something, young 25. But now, since they ain't got that adrenaline chrome, man, they look like skeletons. They look like, man, like that dude George, that Mexican dude. They said he was on it, and now he looked like, man, a man, like he almost in the grave. Without that adrenaline chrome, boy, they started to look real bad.
Fast. You know, but that's part of a ritualistic occupation of spot. You talking about George Lopez?
Yeah, George Lopez. He looked bad, man, since he ain't got that adrenaline chrome.
I don't know if he was on it or not, but I tell you this: if he was, his days won't be long because everybody that was in on it, man. You know. I made a post yesterday. I don't know if you've seen it on Instagram, but it's on my Facebook too. About they got a blood drop right across from the Hollywood sign, right? And that's a message. That single giant blood drop is from DC to LA, right? It's a political satire meets theatrical performance. And the one drop doctrine is what's supposed to tie all of the earthborn together. The ones who was denied rights of ascension from people playing God, making people in laboratories, that's what's the problem. That's the great debauchery that got us set back and gave the devil 6,000 years to rule, because they had to figure out, now how the hell are we going to clean this genetic spill up? There's so many of them. How did y'all let it get this bad? You was never supposed to let it get this bad. And they let it get bad where it was probably close to 1 million of them. And now, you know what I'm saying? Hey, it is what it is. Everybody ain't gonna make it. But everybody that make it supposed to be here.
That happened 3 times, Raw. They did that genetical spill 3 times with Adolf Hitler he started it, and then you go back to Yaku, you know what I'm saying, based on Yaku.
Yeah, the Yaku story was the first.
Yeah.
The use of the genetic engineering to create a slave race.
Yeah.
Right. And the remedy is in the story where he said that he would make these people genetically inferior to rule over superior. But the part we always miss is that he left some melanated people in charge, some dark melanated people in charge. His loyalists is what they was calling them.
That's right.
Okay, so now we got this going on. We know that before 8,400 years ago, it wasn't even albino on the planet. It wasn't in the genome. The lightest you could get is what we call yellow or red bone, right? But the genetic manipulation continued until they came up with what they came up with. And they also inserted animal DNA and chemicals to offset the carbon, like sulfur. So now you can tell they don't look the same, they don't talk the same, they don't dance the same, they don't sing the same. They couldn't sing, they couldn't dance.
That's why they don't got no rhythm, because they don't got no soul.
But when you see them now, you seeing the ones with that drop of blood. Where they get that booty from? That ain't no Caucasian trait. They're not a pale face trait. Where they get it from? But we don't want to talk about that because we want to dismiss all of them as being the ones against us, when all of them was never always against us. It was more people that looked like us against us than it was pale faces. And most of the slave narratives, it was somebody that looked like us that ran the sweetheart swindle on Big Mama. But you can't tell Big Mama nothing because Big Mama gonna do what she gonna do.
Right, that's right.
And then they gonna drive a wedge between Big Mama and her security nets. So now can't nobody protect her. She on her own. Right? It ain't nothing nobody could do but Big Mama. If Big Mama want to entertain the charlatans, then that's up to her. You can't tell her nothing. All you can do is tell her what the situation is, what they doing, and then she got to make her own mind up. Right? But some of them is good at seducing women, even Big Mama. But if Big Mama don't see what's in front of her and who they cutting her off from, then she's the one that's choosing to go into that repeat cycle, because it's another cycle that's being repeated that you're not breaking. Right? So when they came with the sweetheart swindle, what do sweetheart swindlers do? They come in, they woo you with gifts and pleasantries, right? And then they turn around, isolate you from your security, from the ones who can see through their bullshit. They isolate you from them. They tell you that they got out to get you. They not out to get you, Big Mama, but she don't always see it because she's in the moment. When you in the moment, you can't see 2 weeks from now. That's why everybody always tell you to live in the now. Just because you living in the now don't mean you can't anticipate based on events what's about to take place. That's called extrapolation of events. It's part of the natural nature of the human to say, okay, last time I went down that street, it was a hole down there. I got 2 options. I can go see if the hole's still there. That'd be inconvenient. Or I can go this other way where I know it ain't no holes and I'm going to get to my destination. But when the money come, the snakes come out, right? When the bank get unlocked, the serpents rear their head because they smell the money. And Big Mama sometimes act like a little girl. because she still got an inner child. And that inner child is who the seducer is trying to woo. So the seducer seduced the inner child, which is her innocence, and use it to leverage against her, to subjugate her. And this is where this plantation narrative come from. So now that we got all of the security away from them, now we got to put what we call a decoy in its place. So they go out and they hire these pale-faced plantation managers, and then they give them fornication rights because King George said it, or King James said it was cool. Any way you need to spread that drop, get that drop of blood, you get it. Right? So when they do this, we don't realize that Django was the Cherokee in the house, and Samuel L. Jackson was the Huguenot, or the gentry, or a conquistador. He was one of them, coming with his flashy suits. When he first came, he was dressed like Django. But once he got rid of Big Mama, she ain't nowhere around. Where she at? Right? And now he got to try to who that nigga on that name? That ain't no regular. Who that nigga on that name? Right? So we sitting here watching the reenactments through Hollywood. They telling us what's going on without telling us what's going on. If we know history enough, we can see the story play out in theatrical portrayals in Hollywood, in political satire in DC. They all telling the story. DC just responsible for writing it down, and Hollywood is responsible for putting it on the big screen. Right? So it's in all their literature. They wrote about the conquest of the Americas. They didn't come over here friendly. These people don't belong here. Your judges, your lawyers, your prosecutors, your police, all of those are agents of the crown in England. And their days is numbered.
Hey, Rod. Now this next one, gonna be getting at. Gonna be my question about how they played the teepees. Say we was living in teepees, but let me play these shorts, and then I'm gonna ask the question off these shorts.
Okay.
In his 2013 book, historian and researcher Richard Jew Dewhurst uncovered the gigantic and flagrant cover-up devised by the Smithsonian Museum in the United States.
Ever wondered how and why the United States government was awarded the estate called the Smithsonian? Yeah, I have, and I've got some great information to share. Let's get to it. Now, in case you're wondering just how valuable this entire transfer turned out to be, let's just say today the estimate is about $500 billion of wealth inside the trust and accounts of the Smithsonian Institution as incorporated. Let's start with the deceased, whose death resulted in the automatic trust transfer of the Smithsonian wealth to the control of the United States government. Henry James Hungerford, born 1808, dies in 1835, childless in Pisa, Italy. He happened to be Smithson's sole heir, and under the residuary clause in Smithson's will, if this Hungerford died without children, well, the entire estate would default to the United States government. Now, who was James Smithson, the namesake? He dies in 1829. He was a British scientist and illegitimate son of Hugh Percy, the first Duke of Northumberland. He died in 1829 in Genoa, Italy, never having visited the United States. His nephew, Hungerford, dies in Pisa, Italy, never having visited the United States. Smithson, in his will, left his estate to the United States if his nephew Hungerford died without heirs. I quote, "To be found in Washington under the name of the Smithsonian Institution, an establishment for the increase and diffusion of knowledge." This was not a charitable bequest in a generic sense. It was a perpetual trust fund established under U.S. federal oversight, but with a foreign origin and originally held in British banking instruments. So hit that like and subscribe button to find out what happens.
Matter of fact, before I play this next clip, he got a good question there. Now he pointed out that this foreign government of Britain, connected back to Britain, is in control of keeping whatever's under the Smithsonian Institute secret. Why would that be? And why would the government be helping some foreign entity out when they supposed to be against in the Constitution against foreign government?
To us, the United States is foreign, operating on our land. But to the colonizer that came, and later the immigrants that followed, the United States is supposed to be the United States.
Right.
It's Turtle Island. Right? Now, when you realize that they foreign, when you talk about British banknotes, right? You're talking about the Crown of England.
Right.
We're talking the mortuary. It's a place you store dead people. Right. And this is where you get your mortgages from. Your mortgages are issued out of the mortuary, which is the crown of the one who performs autopsies. Right. Shout out to Gaddy Boy for dropping that. He was on point with that one. And I was like, whoa. But anyway, the civilly mortis status is the general status of anybody that comes into the war zone. You automatically declare dead in the war zone because you might not make it out. We done lost a lot of good soldiers, right? But so we lost so many good soldiers, we kept raising soldiers and wasn't raising no generals, no lieutenants, no captains, no admirals. We wasn't raising none of that, nothing but just straight raw soldiers. And Elijah told us, force and power without direction is total destruction. And you see it in our community because all our communities look like Warsaw after World War II, the ghetto. Right? So all of this foreign interest, because the war had to be contained. Only reason they concerned about foreign interest is because if these natives don't know they not Moors, dirty Moors, I have to correct that. If these natives don't know they not the dirty Moors, then they gonna be the ones lose out.
Yep, our state go back to us.
If you listen to Hakeem Bey, he's telling you his organic original status and his birthright as a chief on the land in his lectures. And then he talk about the rituals he used to do up in Central Park that caused the catalyst of something to happen to him that woke him up to the fact that he was from over here. Noble Drew Ali don't say he came over here from Spain or Portugal. He said he was born in one of the Carolinas.
Yeah, North Carolina.
Right? And then I go a step further. He was a certified Cherokee chief that was recognized under the Cherokee Confederacy. And he had a right to execute the Cherokee Constitution over the U.S. Constitution. Just like when it's a rightful Gullah Geechee, they got a right to assert the Commonwealth Constitution, which we call Articles of Confederation, that was the Confederation of I'm getting brain locked. Iroquois Confederacy.
Yeah. I was about to say it.
It was the Iroquois Confederacy and the rebel flag. It wasn't called the rebel flag. Right? And the Old Glory wasn't even created yet. right? Old Glory is the war flag. Old Glory is not the peace flag. The stripes go up and down on the peace flag, horizontal. They go vertical on the war flag, right? So then you have the Admiralty flag, which carries the tribunals of the law of the seas. And this is what they enforcing in the war zone, right? But we sank their battleship when they was trying to sink ours.
All right, I'm gonna roll this next one. This next one. Okay.
In his 2013 book, historian and researcher Richard Jew Dewhurst uncovered the gigantic and flagrant cover-up devised by the Smithsonian Museum in the United States to obscure America's true history. According to him, after the Civil War in the United States, the Smithsonian Museum began to adopt a policy of excluding any evidence of direct foreign influence in the Americas before the arrival of Columbus. This was apparently a request by the new government in order to achieve peace in the fractured country. They wanted to achieve a narrative where Americans were an ethnically homogeneous people, and this did not go well with accounts of red-haired and bearded giants roaming around. Others believe this had nothing to do with ethnic differences, but instead with countering the claims by the Mormon Church that the lost tribes of Israel were found in America. The truth is, when Major John Wesley Powell was appointed chief of the Smithsonian in the years between 1879 and 1902, no major anthropological studies were conducted within their collection. In 1881, Powell designated Cyrus Thomas as the director of the Eastern Mound Division at the Smithsonian Institute. Thomas was a conspicuous supporter of isolationism, an anthropological theory that proclaims the independent evolution of each culture.
This one dude, he was saying that, hey, nah, these people was already over here, they don't connect. But then he was saying this. I got a couple questions off of that part. Now, my first part is, before 1492, several groups, we had contact with several groups that we know of, and it might have been more, but we know that Ho Shin came over about around the 300s on the West Coast. And we know that Mansa Musa, which they don't teach us in school about Mansa Musa, who sailed over in 1310s, him and Abu Bakr. Abu Bakr came first, and then Abu Bakr actually stayed over here, from what Doc said in the Lesser the Record Straight book. And then Mansa Musa came over here looking for him, and he actually mixed in with some people over here. But they cut it out. So he's saying that the Smithsonian Institute wanted to cut this off, cut that information that predates any contact with foreign people or any Africans or anybody else. They wanted to start it from 1492, and it goes wrong with the church, the doctrine of discovery in the church. It pretty much ties into the doctrine of discovery and what he just said about it's connected back to the church. So my question to you is, why would they want us not to know about these prior encounters with foreign other people in America before them, before Christopher Columbus? Yeah.
Okay, the first thing is we got to pay attention to a particular word. The word was homogeneous.
Okay.
Which means that they just naturally developed somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. Now, the general that they put over the Smithsonian's complaint is that they are trying to make it seem different than what it was. Remember, I told you that there was the archaeological studies over here and are less than 200 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Now, in the video you just played, he gave you a 100-year stretch from 1790 something to 1890 something before they even started doing any archaeological and anthropological research over here.
Right.
At that time, they already had the out of Africa theory.
Yeah.
Now, when they take away anything before 1492, that erases all of the stuff they keep finding.
Right.
They can't incorporate that into the literature and the doctrines because the Adam and Eve story, the Popol Vuh, is older than the Adam and Eve story.
Yeah.
It was word for word passed down until some Catholic priest told the Mayan priest that he had to put it in writing because we're going to kill your ass. And ain't going to be nobody else to pass it down. So they wrote it down, and then it wasn't originally available to the general public. It was kept in the church archives. The church released it, I think, in sometime in the 1900s, right? But they had it recorded for almost 100 years, right? So when they take away the fact that, like I've been saying the whole time, we've been marrying Africans on the Eastern Shoreboard for thousands of years. The royal families from over there would marry in the royal families from over here. That's why we didn't have the same effect that the European royals had when they was doing incest.
Right.
Because we was incorporating each other's outside blood all the time. Recycling the diversity in the genome. This is why you got everybody's genome over here. It ain't just because of the colonization migrations. This has been going on a long time. Only people that used to come here didn't come hostile until Columbus came.
Right.
And so they cutting off everything before the hostilities begun to tell us that's the history.
Yeah.
So it takes us back to what was we doing in 1491 then.
Right. Same thing.
Right. I'm gonna tell you what we was doing. We was juking, we was crip walking, we was bee walking, we was Hoover stomping. That's what we was doing. Yeah. We was rain dancing, controlling the weather.
Right.
We was farming the land. Yeah. We was talking to the animals. We was talking to the birds. We would send the birds to deliver the messages to the people on the other side of the land. And we ain't have to even do nothing but whisper in the bird ear. And when the bird get there, the message is going to come out to the other shaman.
That's right.
The bird's electromagnetic sensor, based on the message you gave him, tell him where he need to deliver the message. You don't know where he going. You don't have to. We was doing that before 1492. In 1491, even after 1492, we was still doing it.
Yeah.
Right? We was living as one with the buffalo. This is where you get your term buffalo soldier from. We was living as one. When we went through and called the herd, that's what they call it in English, calling the herd. The herd is getting too bad, consuming too many resources, and we need meat to eat anyway. Mm-hmm. So we would put on the pelts of the buffalo, the bison, and with our nappy hair, we walk right through them.
Right.
And the ones that we knew needed to be harvested, we would either harvest them on the spot or we would mark them with some kind of marking for harvesting later.
Yeah. I see that.
And so now they give us all of their history and they ignore what we was doing.
Yep. Yep. The Christian way. All right, let me roll this next one, Rod.
Roll the corner.
Find truth. All you can do is find false, drop it and get rid of it. And eventually when you can't get rid of any more false, what you're left with is the truth. How much false can you find? And there's lots in history. I was looking around the internet and came across the images of the 1893 Chicago World Exposition. And it blew my mind because it looked like ancient Rome in the middle of downtown Chicago. And as I looked at it further, well, here's another one in Philadelphia, here's another one in St. Louis, in Buffalo, in San Francisco. And then as soon as they were done, they tore them all down and threw them in the garbage. That just told me there's something wrong with all of these. The story of the expositions is a gigantic lie. And I think it's so huge of a lie because I think they're right at a bridge point when so many things about the 1800s that seem strange and weird, right as this sort of period ends of unbelievable strangeness, and all of a sudden these fairs spring up all over the world with impossible buildings we're talking about, which are colossal structures. Chicago built 700 acres of fair in supposedly less than 2 years. St. Louis built 1,200 acres of exposition buildings. One of the buildings in Chicago, the manufacturer's building, would house 300,000 people. There's a giant statue in the middle of the lagoon. It was called the Golden Lady, and it was known as the Statue of the Republic. It was 65 feet tall. They say it was covered in gold leaf that had copper underneath, but others speculate it was actually made out of solid gold. So you're talking 65-foot high, potentially solid gold statue. We're talking giant structures and looking like ancient Rome with towers and domes and columns and the most fine, ornate pieces to them in these record, unbelievable times. Then as soon as they're done, chuck them in the garbage. Like Jackson Park is a swamp, so supposedly they had to drive down tens of thousands of wooden stakes in order to support the weight of everything. They dug out massive lagoons, lakes. They had a canal system that ran through the entire exposition. They also had an above-ground electric train. An electric train, well, where's the electricity coming from? That's running around the park. They had a moving walkway down by the shore. Not enough people are asking, where does this technology come from?
Just to frame it, if I'm not mistaken, the Chicago Fair was the first time people had seen electric light.
Tesla's the one who got the electricity contract for the Chicago Exposition, and it was certainly more than all of the lights anyway that were in New York City at the time were at the Chicago Exposition.
Now, it must have been mind-blowing for most of those people who had only seen gaslight or candlelight at night to see that city lit up in such a way. Again, count the ways, it's 1901. We are told, whether it's true or not, the idea of being able to electrically do anything hasn't been around that long.
And this fair is bizarre. This is supposed to be Tesla's fair, where he managed to somehow move electricity from Niagara Falls to Buffalo for the fair. No one's really explained how he actually did that. And at the middle of the fair is a 395-foot-high electrical tower, on top of which, of course, is a female golden statue called the Goddess of Light. And this thing was lit up by some suggest 500,000 electric light bulbs. Again, when you look at the photos of this thing, it's just, where did they really get the power from?
I mean, think of what it would take today if you had a place with no electricity and no way to pipe it in, the generators that would have to be built.
For example, there's a building that went up for the Barcelona Exposition in 1888. It was claimed to be the fastest built building in the world.
All right, we're going to watch the whole thing. I got a whole bunch more, but they tell us that we was living in teepees when, after, from the 1492, everything, y'all was in teepees, y'all was savages running around in thongs and diapers when we got over here. Even though you read the Christopher Columbus diaries, he tell you what this guy just said. It was big, huge cities, all this, right? So he's saying that what is world, the state fairs are these huge fairs like in Chicago and like in Staten Island, the one up in New York, wherever. All these fairs were where our center points, power points of our cities were, and that they tore them down, and that they tell us we live in they came over here, we was in teepees. Could you go in on that, Rod?
So, first of all, they didn't even see a teepee until they got to the Great Plains. The cities is the same cities that we've been occupying from the beginning. They just changed the names. And sometimes they change them to biblical names to suit the narrative they was pushing. If they can convince us that it wasn't nothing over here but some Mongolian savages that they brought over here, we won't know what happened. We got to look at the migrations. The big migration that happened between 1492 and 1663, I think, that migration was going from north to south, from west to east to fight the Gullah War. The first Gullah Wars, the first onslaught and arrival of the Spanish Armada. They came before the Huguenots. In the midst of that, the Huguenots came into what we call the Gulf of America today. And from the Gulf of America, they fought the war with the tribes at the Mississippi outlet. And they was fighting the fort back then. It's now called the Fort Nola, but it had a tribal name. The Mississippi River used to have patrol boats, river boats that traveled up and down the river for whatever reasons. Sometimes it was to transport goods. Sometimes it was to transport people. Sometimes it was to give assistance to one side of a tribal conflict and bring them some kind of means to defend themselves, right? So the Mississippi River was a great highway for us. And the tributaries was also interstates. We did more water travel across the land than we did land travel. So, of course, close to the rivers, you see when we docked a boat that we would set up a campsite. And this is what they call in teepees or tents in modern terms. And we pitch our tents and they start attacking us on those locations. This is where they get this narrative that we lived in, that was all in tents and teepees. Well, it wasn't the truth. That was a half truth, what we call disinformation. You take a partially true piece of information, but you steer the narrative in the wrong direction. We was already on the move to defend the land, right? So once the war treaty is signed, which they call it the Declaration of, Emancipation Proclamation, right? Once this is all done, we go into this 200-year slumber from not knowing what was going on the land. All of a sudden, all of the ones with the knowledge was murdered first. So now they got to explain why all of these people being murdered. They came up with something called a lynch mob, right? And the lynch mob was actually secret societies. This is why the KKK is a Masonic brotherhood. So when you understand what they're doing, you can see the war being fought, but it's being fought on multiple levels at the same time.
All right, Rod. Let me roll that next one because I got a question. I got to say something on that too. You said something about we was using the highways as the Mississippi and all that. I believe that America, this land, the Turtle Island, that we had the first Navy, that we had the first. That's why the Navy. I believe that, and that's a reason why the Navy over here is still the biggest Navy in the world because we had the Republic had the Turtle Island with the Afar, the Tamarack police, the Felicians, and the Afar people, which were they both mixed in together. They
and we know the Afar came from over here.
Yeah, yeah, and they were the police. Like you said they were like the Navy. So because they were Navy SEALs. They even go into say that these Magi's were trained like Navy SEAls. I mean they could go underwater and all that. The Navy.
That's why they was frog.
Go ahead.
That's why they was frogmen first. Right. That's why they was frogmen first. Because the frogmen was the name that was given to the water tribes that patrolled the waters. Right. You got to remember, not only did we patrol our waters, but Jamaica controlled the waters around Jamaica. It wasn't called Jamaica back then. Haiti, Dominica patrolled the waters around them. We used to send each other delegations. Cuba used to patrol the water around them. Right? And it's a certain distance, I think it's like 60 miles out to sea, which is the patrol area. Right? They say they write in the history books that we didn't see the ships. Like we didn't know what a boat was.
Right.
Right? That's not what they're telling you. They test the disinformation. We didn't see no slave ships bringing us over here because we was already here.
Right.
We seen Columbus ship. We seen the Mayflower, the Santa, the Nina Independent, the Santa Independent, and whatever they is. We seen them. We just didn't see the slave ships.
Right. Right.
You know,
then,
so that's the explanation, is that in the oral history, the slave ship story don't exist.
Mm-hmm.
So they had to figure out a way to explain away why the slave ship story don't exist in the oral tradition of the people on the land.
Right.
It only exists in the what they call academia of the occupying government.
Right.
They went from telling us we ain't allowed to read and write to forcing us to read and write in their language.
Yeah.
Right? Make it make sense. Either you're gonna let us read or write or you ain't.
Right.
They had to get rid of the ones with the knowledge first.
That makes sense.
Because when you got a bunch of people that don't know nothing, you could tell them anything. You could tell them anything.
Right.
But if the ones that know, you can't just tell them anything. They gonna if they at the very minimum, they got some questions for you to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And if you can't answer them questions, they're not going along to get along.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So they have to control the narrative like that, giving out this disinformation. Because if they don't, we know who we are. Right. And their plan won't work.
Right. They coming to a crumble. It's the end that they did right here. All right, let me roll this.
Find truth. All you can do is find false. Drop it.
So in the news of That's About Right, surprised but not shocked, and when people say that this stuff happened a long time ago, this proves otherwise. So these investigative journalists decided to go on a little journey after the Smithsonian Museum apologized for the way they were handling human body parts. Let's get started and learn something new. So since the 1930s, they've been taking human body parts and brains from Black people and indigenous populations. And now most of the brains were removed upon death from Black and indigenous people and other people of color. They're part of a collection of at least 30,000 human bones and other body parts still held by the Natural History Museum, the most visited museum within the Smithsonian. This collection is one of the largest in the world, and it includes mummies, skulls, teeth, and other body parts representing an unknown number of people. The remains are an unreconciled legacy of a grisly practice in which bodies and organs were taken from graveyards, battlefields, morgues, and hospitals in more than 80 countries. The decades-long effort was financed and encouraged by the taxpayer-subsidized institution, the Smithsonian. You already know the vast majority of these bodies and brains were taken without the consent from the individuals or their families. Researchers preying on people who were hospitalized, poor, or lacked immediate relatives to identify or bury them. In other cases, collectors, anthropologists, and scientists dug up burial grounds and looted graves. And of course, the Natural History Museum has lagged in its efforts to return the vast majority of the remains in its possession to descendants or cultural heirs. And of the over 268 brains they have, the museum has only given 4 back. And of course, the Smithsonian requires people with a personal interest or legal right to the remains to issue a formal request, a virtual impossibility for many would-be claimants, since they are unaware of the collection's existence. And many of the Smithsonian officials didn't even know the amount of bodies that were held in the museum until this investigation came out. Now, I might be pronouncing this wrong, but he's the one that started it all, Mr. Dr. Jalika. And he also was a longtime member of the American Eugenics Society. And that is the reason why these bodies and brains are in the Smithsonian in the first place. They wanted to improve the genetic pool and prove that white people were superior to Black and indigenous population. This doctor was stressed in finding brains. He wrote letters pleading for people to donate bodies.
So pretty much white supremacy, but and they even went so far as to grind some of our ancestors up. They found see, so it's another part to this too. They're gonna come up, but they wanted to hide those bodies because those bodies show that hey, these Nubians, this is as high as they mummified 9,000-10,000 years in these mounds, and then these people Nubians,
and then they took even grind certain colors that they had that you can't even find these colors. They found certain colors in the tombs, and they grinded the colors up and then put them into a jar and say, oh yeah, this is a rare color, right? But this is the question I want to ask you off of that. Now, do you think do you think they was doing cannibalism? Because I read a book that somebody told me about. It's called The Science of Cannibalism, I think. I got it in my collection. And I just scanned through it. I didn't really read the whole thing, but it was because it was so creepy and just disgusting. But it was talking about how they were digging up our ancestors over here in the mounds and all around the world and eating and grinding them up and eating them for some kind of energy or something. So do you think that the Smithsonian Institute, why are they collecting all of our ancestors' brains and bodies from these mounds? And is it a cover up? And is it some kind of energy siphon or something? And why would you disturb our ancestors' tomb? Go ahead.
One word: Eucharist, communion. You remember what the communion was, Elder?
In church? You talking about in church?
It's a long held.
Cannibalism. They drink the blood and they eat the body.
Right. Okay, now.
Yeah.
People don't understand what cannibals believe about eating people. And you seen cannibalism a lot in ancient times on the battlefield. And you would hear stories about strong warriors being taken down in battle, and the one who took him down would eat his heart.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
From the warrior perspective, that served two purposes. The warrior that took him down absorbs his spiritual essence that gave him his strength. And the downed warrior is honored by the warrior that stands over him victorious, being worthy to consume his heart. So they become one warrior now. Remember Jet Li the One?
Yeah.
So it's like that. But in order to activate the energy, you have to eat his heart. That's one form of cannibalism. Then you got the cannibalism where they go to war, they kill off the chief and his family, and then they roast him and eat him. Same principle. Because the ones who they conquered, they were showing reverence to them by deeming them worthy to consume and becoming one. So when you hear about the Smithsonian harvesting brains, right? They wasn't just harvesting any old brains, or they'd have had way more than 5,000, she said?
Yeah, crazy number.
They would have way more brains than that. So what was the selection process that went into which brain they would exhume and recover, right? If the heart is for the warrior, what is the brain for? The intellect, right? They trying to find the
pineal gland.
Right. The pineal gland is a whole nother animal.
They was extracting it out of the black man brain.
Yeah, it's like a jewel to them. They put them in the mojo bag, but that's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
But they taking these brains to the Smithsonian Institute, a museum, right? Some of us grew up that have parents from the South knowing about scrambled pig brains with eggs, right? A lot of us don't know about it.
Yeah, I know about it.
Right? But that was what we had to eat, because we couldn't eat what they call choice parts. There's also beef brain. So the brain holds a significance for the power of the intellect. And the heart holds a certain frequency for a warrior. Did you ever hear the warriors always talk about how much heart somebody got in a fight?
Yeah.
It is commonly equated to courage.
Yeah.
The ability to stand in the face of opposition fearlessly.
Yeah.
Right? This is the energy they're trying to take in to help them conquer who they is. Right? And you also got to remember, they believe they take on the essence of the one they consume. This is why they still do communion in the church, continuing the simulated cannibalism of consuming a God.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. But they don't know the purpose of it. They think they commemorating the Last Supper.
Yeah.
They're not commemorating the Last Supper. They commemorating cannibalism.
Reptilian.
Right. And the energy harvesting of consuming a God.
Eating his body and drinking his blood. And they ain't caught on to that yet. Man, you ain't caught on to that? That's that sound like, come on, man. That don't sound like no holy roll or stuff. Eating a man's body, drinking a man's blood. Even if it is symbolic. They want to say, oh, yeah, well, it's symbolic. That makes it even worse. Because that means it's a spell. It's a spell.
Yeah. So that's how magic works.
Right.
Right. So when the genuine article is not available, you allowed to use a comparable substitute.
That's right.
Right. And based on the culture that you live in, is they say that it's been banned. Cannibalism is outlawed, as they say, but they still having communion.
Right.
So in the facsimile, the duplicate, the replica, is the bread, which signifies the flesh, and the wine, which signifies the blood.
Yeah.
Notice the wine is wine when grape juice turns to alcohol, right?
Yeah.
Which is also tapping into another frequency of spirits. Alcohol is called spirits.
Right. That's right.
Right. So when you're using this formula, if you study high magic or ceremonial magic, they tell you that if you can't find a general article, reasonable facsimile can be substituted.
That's right. That's a fact.
Right. So if I got a spell that requires beaver testicles, but I don't live around beavers, I could use a muskrat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So the comparative analysis, the spiritual energy recognized the event as if the event was the same event as the first event that is built on.
Right.
So if they sacrifice the God to start the program, then you sacrifice him every time you maintain the program.
Yeah.
That's called conjure maintenance.
Yeah.
That's how you keep a spell going. You got to maintenance the conjure. And this is why we went back to war in the war 1812, gave the devil an extension.
Right.
Right. They tell us all these other reasons for the war, but they don't tell you the real reason is because the tribes rebelled. Nobody was maintaining the conjure. So it reset the clock back to the original conjure. They began with the blood of Crispus Attucus. So it was supposed to end in 1776. I mean, in 1976, the bicentennial, right? But it'll take another 50-something years because the war 1812 reset their clock. This is what Elijah Muhammad was talking about. The devil got an extension. And I think it was Message to the Black Man or either The Fall of America. But he was talking about the devil getting an extension. It's best based on not maintenance in the conjure, then the conjure being maintenance. This is your black codes, maintenance in the conjure.
Yeah.
Your restrictions on learning, your restriction on acquisition of wealth, your restriction on families' cohesion, right? Separating them, shipping them off, right? But they had stuff they couldn't answer for because one of the elders was talking about how they take this woman baby to that plantation.
Yeah.
She ain't worried about her child because when they bring a child from that other plantation to her plantation, that's her child now.
Yeah.
Right. So they know their child gonna be taken care of no matter which family farm they took to. Right. So they had to break that up. So they had to spoil the women. And you know, one bad fruit will spoil a whole bunch.
That's their game. Go ahead. Hey, Rod, you said something about the spells. I heard when I was studying Aleister Crowley and them, and they was talking about that he was one of they most powerful. That they really in their witch because once you're a witch and you go amongst the other witches, they don't get offended like that. You don't stand out. Like I can go amongst them, right? Once I found out that I was a wizard too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when I get amongst them, they say that Aleister Crowley was one of their number one guys, like for the bad ones. They say, "Oh yeah, well he's our number one guy, like the best guy, like the most hot." Like he showed us a lot, right? And then they goes into say that the longest spell that can be casted is only can last 6 months. And I said, "Damn,
that's without maintenance."
Yeah, without maintenance. I just bring out back what you said, and it goes the same with the jab. That's why they had to keep giving you the jab because it was alchemy, it was witchcraft, or pharmacy is with it being witchcraft. So it was witchcraft. So they got to keep giving you a jab every 6 months, or they got to keep doing maintenance on that spell. Just like you said, it all ties back to what you said about the spell got to be maintenance. It got to be a ritual. That's why they do the Mamas Parade in Philadelphia, and they do like in England they had where they paint the black face. Well, they stopped probably doing it now because that's why it's coming to an end because they can't keep that maintenance on that ritual. That's why the Moors waking up. Look, so somebody stopped it. The Philadelphia parade where they march with the black face with our faces on, and then they go do it in England too, right? The Mamas parades. So I think they stopped that now. So, but there was maintenance. They did that every January 1st and April, like during the time when they sacked the Moors, like in 1492. So you think that was a maintenance ritual? Go ahead.
They still do it in Spain. They never stopped doing it in Spain.
Go ahead.
Right. It is the maintenance of a ritual. Right. But you brought up Crowley. Crowley was known as the Beast, 666. Right. And he was known for being rebellious to every secret society he joined. Now, in order to understand what Crowley was and what Crowley was doing, you got to know his history. You got to know he grew up with a fanatical father that was a Christian preacher, and that he gave a vow that not only would he expose the church, but he said, this is when he was like 12 years old. He said he's going to expose the church, and he's going to go into the Masons because the Masons was the ones who had the hold on his father stronger than the church, and put all of their secrets out. Right? He said, I'm going to tell it all. Right? So this is why none of the occultists of the era, they couldn't stand Crowley, because he was putting all of their secrets in the public domain. Right? His epic work, Gems of the Equinox, right? He got so much knowledge in there related to the practice of magic that was never supposed to get out into the public. It was supposed to be kept concealed behind large doors. That's the only way that the ones contracted as Masons, because they under contract if they in the Brotherhood. The ones those are speculative Masons. Operative Masons is the ones who live in a life doing the actual work, what they call the magnum opus, the great arcana, right, of building the society of heaven on earth in the midst of being attacked from all angles from the devil, who is the contracted ones. So it becomes a war against Masons and Freemasons, right? So in order to be a Freemason, you have to be a traveling man. You have to be on the land, occupying very diverse places and maintaining your character the whole time, which ties back to understanding what it means to be royalty, royalty ain't just the blood alone. It's also the character development that makes you worthy to sit on the seat called the throne. You're not worthy if you don't go through the struggles of life to hone your character and your skill set so that you can be an asset to the collective instead of being a liability. Tyrants is liabilities. They only out for selfish gain and selfish agendas. So you don't want to put a tyrant on the throne. But you do want somebody that's strict. You do want somebody that stand on business. You do want somebody that won't back down in the face of a threat, right? All of this is the development of the self in operation. So you become what they call an operant mason. The speculative masons are the ones who studying what you're doing and trying to figure it out. What is he doing? Why is he doing that? So they study human psychology, sociology, and then they try to use that information to control all of the people. But some of us is uncontrollable. They're incorrigible. You can't control me. Only I can control me. And I'm only going to let you control me to the degree in which it benefits me. When the benefit is gone, your control is lost. So Crowley did exactly what he said. He didn't stay with Blavatsky long because she was putting the secrets out in open. He didn't stay with Israel Regardie long because he was putting the secrets out in the open. Right? He didn't even want to touch Rudolf Steiner because he wasn't scared of too many people, but Rudolf Steiner wasn't his cup of tea, nor was Franz Bardon. Right? But Crowley did exactly what he said he was going to do. Expose the church and expose the lodge. He put the lodge business out in the open. They put a hit on him. He just survived it.
And they ran him up out of was that England? They ran him up out of somewhere where their main stronghold was. He got ran up out of there. And they moved him out the country. It was Switzerland or somewhere. He got ran up out of there.
Yeah,
but,
he ended up, I think he died on a little island outside of Italy.
Yeah, he was trying to do this 6-month spell, the longest spell they got in their spell book.
Yeah, if you don't do the maintenance on them, then they dissipate. It's energy.
Yeah.
If you don't, it's like driving a car. If you don't put no gas in it, it ain't going nowhere.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
The same engine that you burn gas in, with a few tweaks, you can burn water in it.
Yeah.
So the great deception come in, and I'm telling you that the only way you can get this amount of power out of this engine is you got to use fossil fuel.
Yeah. 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 It's already somebody that they already converted it in the 1800s. Over here, we had cars running off of water. They come to find out that's what that dude was breaking down in that clip. I ain't played the whole clip, but he said that we were more advanced. Like Nikola Tesla was just a cover up. Like he's saying that we already had lights and plumbings and like sewer systems and everything over here before Christopher Columbus came. Like sewer systems.
Yeah, we had all that. Look,
and trains and stuff.
We wasn't no Stone Age spear chucking backwoods. We didn't need weapons.
Yeah.
We only needed weapons to hunt. We didn't need weapons to fight war. We didn't have them kind of wars.
Yeah.
If it got bad enough, my chief gonna fight your chief.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
Or they gonna pick their champion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I say if it was a war to be won with the fist, Big Tookie and Mike Tyson would have took it a long time ago. It wasn't about that. Those were what they call them. Those were bullet points on the essay. Somebody that can do it all. It wasn't about physics. Because it was about physics, Lord Quartermain would have took that. because they couldn't create a atomic bomb out of Einstein's formula until they called in Lloyd Quartermain. It ain't about education, because Carter G or Amos Wilson, Hockey Metal Booty, they all would have took that a long time ago. Right? Half of this stuff Elijah would have took. There's some boys in the nation got them hands.
Yeah.
And, they just don't, run around flaunting that they got them hands, but don't pull up on one and try to find out.
Yeah, right.
Right? But, he was turning out champions of all caliber. He had Ali. Right? He had great authors that we look back now, we read these books. Some of them that wasn't formal members, like Dr. Clark, but he was feeding information to Elijah. And Malcolm and Martin, right? Dr. Ben was feeding them information to keep their education program ahead of the fallacy, right? So you got people like Chancellor Williams, whose information was fed through the nation, destruction of Black civilization. Right, a lot of that information, if the nation wasn't showing us what to read, we wouldn't have knew what we needed to read versus what they told us to read. We wouldn't have knew that we needed our information to offset what they was telling us. Right? I was ordering college textbooks, but at the same time, I was in the Final Call bookstore and I was in the Answer Allah bookstore ordering books from us. Right? They had this, I had this one catalog called African World Books out of Philadelphia. I was ordering books out of. But then I was ordering books out of Edward R. Hamilton, and my brother and sister paid for all the knowledge. That's why I can give it away for free. It's been paid for already. It was prepaid.
Right.
Right? I paid attention and they paid the bill. Right? So it's been double paid at that point, triple paid, because it was a brother, sister, myself, and then my attention. Right? So we was getting together, trying to formulate an understanding of what was taking place. I didn't know I was going to be the chief they was going to call for this. I was living my life. But then the codes start coming in, and you can't duck them because you get bombarded by them. They activate you. You can't help it. You got to move in a certain direction. People think you insane. So I had to go get a psych eval to prove I wasn't insane. So I sat there and told the history of psychiatry and psychology to the psychiatrist, who was perplexed. Why are you even here? You know this better than me. You are definitely not insane. But you got to also remember, intelligent people, smart people, sound totally batshit crazy to dumb people.
Right. Yeah, bro. Okay, we're going to roll about 2 or 3 more, then we'll take some questions. I got another good one to roll. Let me roll this good one real quick.
We're going to go through everything that the Smithsonian has allegedly hidden or stolen. But before we do that, we need to learn the history of the man who created the Smithsonian. Our story starts in Paris in 1765, where James Louis Macy was born in secret. He was the illegitimate son of a duke and a wealthy widow with a royal bloodline. In 1800, after his mother died, he changed his name to James Smithson. Some say this was a Masonic rebirth. One man metaphorically died and another was born with a new name. His mother's family was also linked to Rosicrucian bloodlines, and that matters because his gift to America, the Smithsonian, is seen as a sort of transfer of forbidden knowledge from Europe to the New World. James's life was tied to Freemasonry from the very beginning. He studied at Oxford in 1782, and by the age of 22, he had entered the Royal Society. The Royal Society actually has deep ties to both Freemasonry and, allegedly, the Illuminati. Between 1791 and 1826, Smithson published 27 papers on mineralogy and volcanoes and electricity, and some believe that these are actually coded works of alchemy. All of these papers were later destroyed in the Smithsonian fire in 1865. The strangest part of this entire story is that Smithson gave the Smithsonian to the United States even though he had never visited the country. Some believe that it was a scheme to embed esoteric principles into the capital, which is also strangely designed around Masonic zodiac patterns. Even the Smithsonian's logo is tied to these ideas. The sunburst symbol has 16 rays and resembles the Masonic blazing sun. It's also linked to the sun gods Horus and Apollo. Some people think that this choice in logo marks the Smithsonian as the modern temple of solar worship. Even the gifting itself is seen as a ritual. In his will, Smithson wrote that it should serve for the increase and diffusion of knowledge, and that line specifically is the backdrop for the entire conspiracy. It means that the Smithsonian is less about preserving culture, more about deciding what the public is allowed to know. Now, the stolen artifacts. One story comes from West Virginia in the 1880s. A burial mound was said to contain a 7.5-foot tall giant wearing a crown. He was placed upright in a copper case and surrounded by 10 other skeletons like a royal guard. Deeper in the mound, there were vaults filled with copper and mica and pipes and spearheads and ornaments. And as the story goes, everything was sent to the Smithsonian and it was never seen again. A few decades later, a similar story comes out of Catalina Island. In the 1920s, more than 4,000 skeletons were pulled from a burial site that is 6,000 years old. Some of these skeletons were over 9 feet tall. Today, all of that evidence is gone. In Nevada, Spirit Cave was said to hold ancient mummies that were 7 feet tall and were thousands of years old. In Florida, there is allegedly a sinkhole that preserved a red-headed giant in bog water. In 1884, a report out of Athens, Georgia told of a copper-crowned skeleton wearing a robe made of pearls, and his mouth was allegedly filled with pearls as well. And there were stories of horned skeletons found in Pennsylvania, elongated skulls in the Midwest, skeletons with 2 rows of teeth, sword and armor sized for giants. In the Great Lakes, they found petroglyphs showing Phoenician ships. And then there are the inscriptions. The Bat Creek Stone in Tennessee was carved in ancient Hebrew, which is a language that no one in America should have known at the time. Then there's the Los Lunas Decalogue Stone in New Mexico, which has the 10 Commandments written in Paleo-Hebrew. There were Viking runestones found in Minnesota and Oklahoma.
So Trump is now saying that the Smithsonian used to represent American greatness, and now it's too woke and racially divisive. But it seems like the time that he's talking about is when the institution was literally pushing eugenics and stealing the brains of black people from in and around DC. Because for decades, the Smithsonian literally had a racial brain collection and was a headquarters for white supremacist science. And I don't mean that metaphorically, I mean like officially, institutionally, and federally funded racism. And just so you know exactly what went down, from 1904 to 1940,
diffusionism was fraudulent. It was believed that contact between the civilizations of the Ohio and Mississippi valleys were rare, and contact between the Mississippian cultures and the Mayas, Toltecs, or Aztecs in Mexico or Central America, well, that was absurd. So the history books were written. Native Americans were a primitive and sometimes savage people, and that was that. But not so fast. When those ancient mounds and pyramids in the Midwest were studied, it was shown that the Mississippi River valleys was, at one time, home to an ancient and sophisticated culture. At the time, the culture's capital city, Cahokia, was bigger than almost any city in Europe. When the Spiro Mounds in Oklahoma were excavated between 1933 and 1935, a man over 7 feet tall was discovered. He was in full armor, and buried next to him was a pot of thousands of pearls and other artifacts. This was one of the largest treasures ever discovered at that point in time. We know that the man in armor was found, and the Smithsonian was contacted, so where is he? Many human remains were found in graves next to artifacts, but the remains were discarded, and we're told that most of the rare and priceless objects disintegrated before scholars could reach the site.
How convenient that priceless objects vanish before anyone gets there.
When the excavation was finished, Dynamite was used to destroy the burial chamber, and any remaining artifacts that were considered valuable were sold off. The Acambaro artifacts were discovered in Mexico in 1994 and have been the center of controversy.
This is my question come from all that. I got about 3 more videos to run, but then everybody want to ask a question right there. Now, so based on what we getting is there any artifacts that could potentially awake them more, or wake it with people of this land? Okay, now that's what the question was. Now, he said that there was Phoenicians and Hebrew writing, right? We know that the Phoenicians were tall. Some of them could have been 7 foot tall, like Shaquille O'Neal height, because the Watusis are naturally tall. If you go look at the Watusi, they're the tall tribe, and then we had, because they showed based on the artifacts that we seen, the ones that we was able to some kind of way get pictures of, or what people told us, that they had 2 different type of phenotypes. The one was the Watusi looking, that's the Phoenicians, the ones they said the Phoenicians, they was about the Great Lakes. They populated the whole Mississippi, the old Mississippians. And then they had another a shorter group that kind of resembled the Twa man. And then they had another group, which they found these guys everywhere. They found one of these guys frozen in the ice in Antarctica. These are far people, right? They are far people. So they found them guys over here. So, man, what would that do? I mean, the truth is out now, but what does that gonna do for the whole paradigm? Their whole paradigm falls down. We got to start back from the beginning and start from scratch, all the way from the beginning, because the whole storyline don't start from Africa. It starts off from no other. It start here.
Right. Well, you got to remember, they just start studying over here.
Yeah.
Because the goal was never to give us any information related to anything over here.
Right.
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 And so when they tell a narrative and they out of Africa theory, if you incorporate what was going on in the Americas during the whole out of Africa time frame, it spoils the narrative.
It hurt their
Right.
feelings.
Right. So you see the artifacts that they collected tell the story.
Yeah.
This is why they had to always conceal them and destroy the bodies, conceal the bodies, take the skulls off the bodies, certain stuff that they was doing.
Blow the whole
all to design to control the narrative. Everything started in the Americas.
Right. It would be no other reason to cover it up. If it went to what the storyline they gave us, if the storyline they gave us was legit, it'd be no reason for the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian, and then they said they had a fire where after they collected all those artifacts, and then 1885, right after the Civil War, they burned down. It was 65. They burned down. What it was 65 or 85. All of a sudden, the place burned down to the ground. Huh?
It was 65 because I noticed it was not too long after the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, yeah.
But you gotta remember, it wasn't just the Smithsonian that burned during that time period. It was all of the records across the land. They was burning the churches that had the records in them, the libraries that had records, the city halls that had records. All of them was catching fire. That's why most of my mama history has been burned up in the fires, because they in Magnolia they burned down the library with all the records in it.
I heard my granddaddy say something like that they burned out. We didn't have no birth tickets, they burned it down.
Yeah. So we had land diagrams that we used to use to map out our plot of land. That's what they was mainly trying to destroy, so that we won't be able to say this was on my land.
Yeah.
They didn't want us. This was before they came out with something called an alloidial title. That didn't have nothing to do with us. That was European record keeping.
Yeah.
Right. But once they gave us the records, we started asking questions, and the questions led to us seeking the answers where we couldn't get it from them.
Yeah.
Because we know that they have to put it in the public domain somewhere. We just have to locate it. We just didn't know that they would be telling it to us in news stories.
Yeah.
And using the big screen and political satire to control the narrative. But they've been doing it the whole time. And the same people was behind it. The unseen hand, the black hand.
Real slick, like though. They real smooth and crafty with it though. Like, oh yeah, we ain't doing it. He hit you.
I bet I can make you hate this guy in 60 seconds. This is
So Trump is now saying that the Smithsonian used to represent
diffusionism was fraudulent. It was believed that contact between
a giant pharaoh in stasis was found in a cave in the desert Southwest. Since I've been on talk radio for 25 plus years as a host and interviewing some interesting people, one of the things that's afforded me is the ability to have people who've seen this stuff that everybody else says are crazy to contact me. Now, the red-haired giant king and queen that were in stasis were found in an unknown Utah cave. The presence of giants in the caves of southern Utah and the desert Southwest are so numerous that you can't turn anywhere to the east, west, north, or south and not encounter somebody that knows not only the...
Now, Rod, look at this. Okay, so he's saying red hair giants. Now, if you go and look at the South Bantu people, which was over here, Bantu people was over here. They put this red dye in their head. The tribe. I know you probably seen that before, right? So that's when they saying red hair people. They talking about these Bantu peoples.
No,
Right?
he's talking about the ones that use the red clay.
Right. And that's
No,
what
we literally had red heads over here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, with our Nana, I know about with the red hair, green eyes, our Nana's daughters. But I'm talking about also that's what he talking about though. He talking about the red head, the Bantu that they used to put the red dye. He talking about that people. He ain't talking about the Aldebaran connection with our Nana. That's a whole nother connection. You know what I'm saying? With our green eye family.
He would have identified if it was clay. If it was red clay.
I'm telling it. He said it was a pharaoh.
Look, here go the thing that you probably didn't notice. He used the word more than once, and the word was stasis.
Go ahead.
You ain't dead if you in stasis.
Yeah, I know.
Let that sink in for a minute.
Yeah. Okay, so the goals, it's called you call them Netat rules, Nathar rules. They had a device. Murdoch and them had a device that could put you into stasis, and it really was a sarcophagus. It really was the first prototype to the med beds before they got to making the med beds. Murdoch now, and so what they would do is they could lay in this thing, and it would just put them into like when they float out of space, it just put them into like a deep sleep where they age slower. Like a slower process of aging, right? Just kind of like what you said they did to Tookie and all that, kind of like the same thing, but it's more advanced where they don't gotta freeze you. It's like a type of machine where it's put you into this. You get into there and they put you into a certain type of.
They use sarcophagi for that. They used to call it regeneration chambers.
Yeah.
And it was a sarcophagus that carried a certain frequency to regenerate your cells.
Yeah.
So it move all your biology to when you was in your best performance shape.
That's right.
Right. And they had the ones like these two, they called them giants. When they could put them in stasis in a sarcophagus, and then they could inhabit another human's body that's walking around.
Yeah.
As a walk-in.
Yeah. That's happening. So what I'm thinking is, he's saying giant. He really talking about these 7 foot. Like I said, on Watusis, they get 7 foot, and then when the Watusis mix with the other groups, which like the Sandsman and Twa Man, they created other races like the Bantu. And like I said, I'm Bantu. They even show a picture of Satuk. Somebody painted a picture of Satuk. He even got the red hair. But the Mississippi, that red clay dirt is found up and down the Mississippi. That same red clay dirt that they was putting in their hair. I'm telling you, Rod. That's what he don't know. That's what he's saying. He ain't even saying it because they don't really want to tell us that why these Bantu people that's doing this red dye already over here in America 50,000 years, 40,000. Because Doc already said it though. Doc already told us in the in the Let's Set the Record Straight book that the people was already that they was over here. The Bantu people, they was already over here. The Almacs and all that. Like the Bantu people are the Almacs, right? So they was already over here, and they even show statues of these people with the. They even show Almac statues with the braid. How the Bantu people braid their hair. The Almacs got the same braids, and like I say, that red dye they put that in their hair. That's why they say these red hair. How he black with red hair? Come on, man. I'm talking about like dark black. These niggas jet black with red hair. That wasn't the bunch, the Inanna bunch. That's our other family members, which we got 3 different types. It was the red hair, green eyes with the freckles. That's one of Inanna's daughters. One of her other daughters had black hair with dark colored eyes, and the other one was a mix between the two, which gave her, when you mix the red with the black, it gave you a brown or brunette color. And if you ever see them women that's from them three different ones I just named, and they be thick and fine, because you can see them red, some gingers, they be thick and fine. That's Inanna's daughters, and that ain't the people he talking about though. Although they was over here too.
Let me tell you something from experience out of that. I went to Mississippi to visit back in '85. And I was out in that sun so much down there that I had patches in my hair that was the color of my skin, but my skin had got darker.
Yeah.
But my hair had these parts that had literally bleached in the sun.
Yeah.
You know, so there are dark people with red hair.
Yeah, I seen it.
It's just not as common as dark people with dark hair. It's like in the Melanesian people, you have some people their skin is so dark that it got a purple tint and then they got blonde hair.
Yeah.
Right.
That's the real
So
hair.
yeah, the sun also can bleach your hair, fight you.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on, you know what I'm saying, what was going on with the people of the era. But I do know from experience that the sun will bleach your hair.
Yeah. Yeah, that's but like based on all what I'm collecting, like he's saying, oh, it's a pharaoh. Then the other dude said, oh, well, that's in Utah, right? Well, he's saying that they found this tall 7-foot pharaoh in Utah. Yeah, and then in another spot in the same kind of area, another guy said, oh, these Phoenicians. They all go back to the Phoenicians because that's like a code name for them where they can just.
Yeah, he said that it was Phoenician writing discovered in the Great Lakes region.
Yeah, but because it's not Hebrew, there's no such language really as Hebrew. That's what they're
Paleo Hebrew. What he said.
Yeah.
He said they had Paleo Hebrew and Phoenician, which is very similar.
Right. But it's, the Hebrew is not the language because the Hebrew was an act that's what these other people called us when we went.
You got to remember they renamed everything, so we just using the names they named it as. But even Arabs didn't call themselves Arabs. They still don't call themselves Arabs.
Right.
They call themselves either by their tribe or their country. They don't call themselves no damn Arab.
Right.
The only ones that still use an ancient name to refer to themselves as the Chaldean.
Yep. Yep.
You know, and then they the same people. One of them became Christian, the other one became Muslim.
Yeah.
You know, so there's a lot of interaction with people from around the world in the Americas pre-1492.
Right.
Right. And we can act like it didn't happen. We got stories of Vikings came over here when St. Patrick was on his raid. Scotia and Scotia came over here, and they was all welcome.
Right.
Now, post 1492, they created a caste system that we didn't have based on skin color. We didn't have that.
Yeah.
They created a system for everything that we naturally do. We can only do it now under their control. Need a fishing license. We don't need no fishing license to fish. I'm from the land, on the land, going about to feed my people from the land. What is you talking about? Right? We used to traverse the land freely and unrestricted. Now we need a driver's license and follow a speed limit.
Yeah.
I don't have an objection to speed limits, and I know it need to be enforced some kind of way, but the reality of the situation is we didn't have a lot of the restrictions before they came that we have now, but they telling us we supposed to be free.
Yeah.
We supposed to be the freest country in the world.
Yeah.
We free to be slaves as long as we choose to be. That's what the only thing that we free to do.
Right.
You can't, it's against the law to have children, especially for men. You punish as a man if you rear children, right? And the women get the benefit from the government stepping in as her provider.
Yeah, that's sad, man.
Right? That's just it's systematic control. But when you born in it, it's hard to see it. It's like a fish trying to describe water to another fish.
Yeah.
They can't do it.
Yeah.
They got to come out of water to even recognize they in water.
Yeah.
You know? So it's the same way with these systems that they got in place. If you even look at and do a study of the Panther Party, everything that they did, the government shut down and started doing it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Even what the nation do.
Yeah.
The government was trying to shut them down. They wasn't able to. They tried. But everything the nation was doing, they started doing.
Yeah.
Elijah Muhammad invented the franchise. But we think it was McDonald's or KFC that invented it.
That's deep.
You know, so they didn't know nothing about franchising until Elijah Muhammad started doing his Muslim restaurants.
Yeah, the fish place.
Yep. And you know, he had buses. We didn't need to go Trailways or Greyhound. We used to catch a nation bus. Right? He had all this stuff. Bakeries, new printing presses and stuff. Everything that they was trying to control, he was trying to find a way to give us the control. We just got hung up on this Islam BS.
Yeah.
We not looking at the tribal activities, the tribal structure that he's maintaining.
Yeah, he was doing Islam civics. That's what he really was doing.
Whatever you want to call it. But you got to always remember, they don't believe it's Islam if it's not Arab. If it's not Arab culture, if it's not ancient Arabic nobles or the mystic shrine, they don't accept you as a Muslim. But it don't got nothing to do with the religion. It got everything to do with how you use the information to uplift people.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Some of the best Muslims I met is in the nation, and some of the worst ones I met was born into it in the overseas.
Right.
So you got people like Bilal Phillips, Siraj Wahaj talk bad about Elijah, talk bad about Imam Issa, and at the same time, they trying to be black Arabs.
Yeah.
You don't have to stay over here. Get your ass on over there with the Arabs and show you what it is to be a black Arab. You're going to find out when you get there. And then you're going to try to act like it ain't happening. This is the same with Ben-Ami when he moved to Israel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They don't enjoy the benefits of being over there like the paleface do. But they won't tell us that.
Yeah.
The only melanated ones that got any valuable benefit from the Israeli government was called Falashas from the mass exodus, Operation Exodus, Mossad plot from the early 80s. We don't even know what happened. right? So they brought the Falasha over there and they put them on welfare. They feed them. They don't get the same medical care standard as one of those Khazarians over there or those Sephardi over there. They don't get that kind of treatment. But they still did better than they did with Ben Ami. Right? And he did what I'd say all of them should do. If you don't think that this is where you're supposed to be, take your ass where you belong.
Right.
You don't got to stay here. You don't got, but we gonna win. Right? So they use these religions as control measures. Elijah was using the tribal structure.
That's right.
It's just basic tribal structure, and most of us was too blind to see who Claire Muhammad was. But Dr. Cleves knew. That's why he set up the shrine of the Black Madonna across on the other side of town from Temple Number 1 in Detroit. Right? He was telling you something. Nation was just reflecting it. Right? For that was just the wages for the Muhammad, the worthy one. Because most people don't know the etymology of the word fard. It's the same as the word ford. It means the wages to get across the river. Right? He's just the mirror. Polar opposite. North Gate, South Gate. Right? Iceman to the mother of the South. Use the mirror. Study. Use the mirror. Translate the names. What is he telling you? Claire Muhammad was the one the whole time. She the one wanted Mother Khadijah to replace her. Because she got to give her the juice. Can't get the juice from nobody that ain't the one with the juice. Or else you just got secondary juice. But at the end, it all comes forward. Full circle. As it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. From the Alpha to the Omega.
Hey, Rod. So overall, on exposing the Smithsonian Institute, what do you think this place? We don't really need the. I don't really need to. I don't personally need to see the artifacts. I know what the deal is now. Like they might have some more stuff to say. Oh, that's interesting. But I don't really care about the artifacts. We already got the truth. We already know. Hey, we go back forever on this land.
That ain't for us, though, Elder. Huh? It ain't for us. It's for Dr. Umar.
Go ahead. Oh yeah.
It's for what's the brother with the show on CNN?
Mark.
Martin.
I know you talking
Roland
about
Martin. That's who the artifacts is for.
Go ahead.
The artifacts is for Al Sharpton.
Yeah.
For all these other so-called Negro leaders we got. Right? That's who the artifacts for. Those Afrocentric ones.
Yeah.
Right? They got to remember, you got to see what's over here in order to understand where you at. Right? It's for the $5 Indians. It's for the ones that thought we was from somewhere else, and now they about to find out we've been here the whole time.
Damn, I'm telling you, in a cold way.
That's who the artifacts is for. The ones of us that know how to pick a book up and track down leads, we already know what's up.
Yeah.
But you remember, you want to hide something from a Negro, put it in the book.
Right.
So I'm not a Negro, so that don't apply to me.
That's crazy. That's crazy because he the guy that study promoting. He's on the other day talking about oh yeah, see they got us. They enslaved us. They took us in the back and they put us in chains. And he want to paint he want to like wrap that around our mind.
Okay, let's deal with that, Elder. That's what you call victim stancing.
Okay.
You answer every failure with the position of the victim.
Okay.
You, as long as you continue to be the victim, every story you're gonna tell gonna be from the position of the victim.
Yeah, that's how he do it. That's all it is.
But when you rise up and go against the victimizer, you no longer see it the way the victim sees it. Because you can look the beast eye to eye now and you won't buckle or fold. Because that don't got nothing to do with you, what he talking about over there. What got something to do with me is what I'm talking about over here.
Right.
You can tell me I'm from anywhere you want to tell me, but my roots talk to the earth over here and say, baby, you at home.
Yeah.
You just where Big Mama wants you at. Don't leave no stone unturned.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Right? So everywhere I seen the chief, I pointed him out. Right? All these are the stones the builders rejected. I've been building a community in everybody's face and they didn't even see it happening.
Yeah, it's big too. Big.
You know? I've been initiating unity response in the communities, Chicago, LA, Atlanta, Houston, but people don't see it because they think I'm just on the internet talking.
Yeah.
I done already did so much footwork. I done already talked to Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, Latin Kings, Peace Stones, Growth and Development, Black Disciples, Black Gangsters, Satin Disciples, Maniacs. I didn't talk to them all. I done already did that footwork. Now I'm just trying to inform everybody what to expect.
Hey, this person said they don't follow nobody without a passport. Could you break down what a passport is? Roy still making them a slave?
So first of all, this is a metaphor. In other words, I'm not following nobody that can't get in the doors we need to get in. Passport is used as a euphemism for being able to get from one place to the other unrestricted.
Go ahead.
So that's a hood saying. You ain't following nobody that ain't qualified to lead.
Right.
And the passport is the qualification.
Go ahead.
Right. But at the fundamental level, since you asked the question, driver's license, state IDs, and passports are all the same as free papers for emancipated slaves or slaves with passes off the plantation. But that ain't what she was talking about. She was talking about she ain't following nobody that ain't qualified.
I think that's what she could have been, or she was talking about a passport with somebody. I heard some people say that. Oh, if you don't got a passport, then he don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but the passport is used as a euphemism, as a metaphor.
Nah, some people they really mean like actual passport.
Well, that's because everybody don't get the euphemism.
Yeah, I know.
They stuck in literalism. This is why a lot of information get lost in translation. Because when they say pale face speak with forked tongue, they think he lying. He ain't lying. Yeah. He got two agendas coming out his mouth. He got the agenda of the one that sent him, but then he got his own agenda too. Mm-hmm. And the only way you could tell him that is Drink Champs or Mud Hut, Peace Pipe Ceremony. Make him tell the truth. You can't lie to the chief when you chiefing with the chief.
Right.
Can't lie to him. He gonna know you lying out the gate. Like, why you telling me that bullshit? It sinks you, so you a built-in lie detector. Experience teaches you the best.
Yeah. Shout out that boy, brother. Hey, shout out Chief Brother Love. Yeah, they talk about that same thing on the Stargate. That Raw was just talking about the Stratus jars. They call them Stratus jars on the Stargate movie. How the Najarus were storing their essence inside of these advanced technology, and they can go into like a sleep state. Right. All right, what you say, Rod?
I said that's stasis.
Oh, yeah, stasis. Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Let's take 2 more questions and we can wrap it up.
Yeah. We got to wrap it up, man. We already about 2 hours and 30 minutes almost in. Drop a question in the chat. We'll take 2 questions and we'll get up out of here.
Somebody keep asking the one question about Ukraine firing the U.S. missiles into Russia. Who else missiles they gonna fire? Who armed Ukraine?
Yeah.
America arms Ukraine. They about to get cut off. Israel is too, but Israel lasts because they represent the great imposter. Right? So when you realize that all this stuff is to steal our birthright over here so that they can steal all of the tribes of the earth birthright.
Yeah.
This is the final showdown, the final conflict, the battle of Armageddon. It ain't even got to be bloody warfare. It's a military strategy. Who's the most strategic? Who's able to see through the BS the best? Who's able to deceive the most? Who's able to see through the deception? It's a chess game. Right. Multi-dimensional chess game. Multi-generational chess game. When you know where all your pieces was at on the board, when you look back, you know where they at in the future. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is move the pieces accordingly. It's a piece of information on the bottom of each piece that tell you what you need to do in order to advance the piece. It's called directions. Everybody can't follow directions is the number one problem we face. This is why nobody wants you to tell them nothing.
Right.
Because everybody think they know everything already.
Right.
So when somebody like we sit here and we do these classes, you got the hecklers that come in the crowd trying to disrupt us because they don't want the people that's in the crowd listening. They want to distract them with the shenanigans and the comments so that they can miss the message.
Yeah.
They just come to cause the chaos. But we chaos magicians, so we use it to our advantage so that nobody can't miss out on nothing.
Right.
We adjust and overcome. Right? No retreat, no surrender. Full steam ahead, balls to the wall. Platinum back gorilla rage in this place.
Yeah.
Let them get it. How they get it. You don't gotta like it, but you're gonna learn to love it because when it's all said and done, the underdog on top now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We've been winning for where people don't know, but they don't. Everything that the people that came before us was saying about how this all ends, it's happening right now. Like I can see, like what Elijah Muhammad said in the fall of America about the fall of the dollar. All it's like it's happening right now, like as we speak. It's all happening.
Yeah. Matter of fact, they already gave a Federal Reserve deadline for fiat notes before they shift over the system.
Yeah.
Now remember, the system is going to shift over before they get rid of the fiat note.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The deadline is January the 1st. So we know we're going to have a new currency come 2026.
Yeah, they already switched a lot of banks over already.
Yeah. Did you see they got a whole new, like one half of the world is on the old internet and the whole other rest of the world is on the new internet?
Yeah.
That don't got nothing to do with each other.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a large shift and it's almost complete.
Yeah.
And when it's done, everybody gonna know what happened. They just put out the arrest warrant. They just arrested what's his name? Comey, the dude from the Russiagate scandal. So the first arrest been made on that. Next thing they're gonna have to, and then Trump just gave orders for the DOJ to go ahead and execute the arrest immediately. He gave that order today on a Sunday. Or it might have been yesterday on a Saturday. But he gave that order to start arresting these suckers immediately, right after they called all of the generals to Quantico. Not Quantico, it's a Marine base. They called them all to the Marine base. I forgot which one it was. But they have never in the history of the country called all of the generals in one place at one time. That's unheard of. Right? But they just did it. Something big about to shift. It's about to pop. I'm waiting on the fat lady to sit down on that pimple.
Hey man, I'm already ready for whatever. I'm ready for whatever. Like C. Mercer said, we ready for whatever. I hope Teddy Ready about to clip his wings, touch the sky, bro. I think C. Murder was kind of like Psycho a little bit, bro. He's a psycho serial killer a little. Yeah, there's something he be saying.
Malcolm said it best. If you ain't an angry black man in America, you're an insane black man in America.
Hey, look, what he did all, huh? Hey, like Doc said, they don't love you. I mean, they don't love you and they hate you. It's like this. Like Martin Luther King was teaching love, let's hold hands, let's join together, and bang, they shot him. Malcolm X said, hell no, you see how he going the opposite. Bang, they shot him. So it stands to reason it don't matter how you go with them, they don't like you anyway. They ain't gonna like you.
The thing is this: you don't want your inferior to muster up the wherewithal to be your superior after you done them wrong, because you don't know how they going. They got a right for revenge if they choose it. You don't know what they gonna choose because of what you done did. Right. So you don't want to give up the power to the people you done did the dirt to. Because if you get the power up to the people you done did the dirt to, you don't know. You like, they at your mercy.
Right.
Right? So they don't want you to join them. So don't talk that peace talk, shoot them down. But they don't want you to start your own Tulsa, Oklahoma, Rosewood, et cetera, et cetera. They'll burn you down. Right? If you talk about standing up to them, Malcolm, they can shoot you. Get rid of you. Right? If you make alliances in high places with us, they JFK you. They RFK you.
Yeah.
Right? So it don't matter because they don't want us to get back on top because they say all the stuff we did to them, we don't know what they gonna do to us.
Right.
It don't matter. We gonna do whatever we want to do when we get on top.
Now,
but we ain't gonna do nothing reckless though.
Yeah, right.
Because we follow the matriarchal order, and the matriarchal rules say getting rid of this person gonna benefit or hurt the community. Right? If it's gonna benefit the community, arrivederci, off the cliff you go. Yeah. If leaving you around gonna benefit the community, well, we got to figure out a reformation plan. We got to change your mindset and get you to bump straight. Because if you don't bump straight, even if you benefit the community, you off the cliff you go. But if you ain't gonna benefit the community in no kind of way, and you on that list, off the cliff you go, out the gate, ain't nothing to talk about. But if it's a benefit the community can draw from you, and you willing to reform, but you know what Elijah say, can the devil be reformed? No, it's been tried.
Yeah.
It's utterly failed. So if he can't be reformed, that means he was a devil to begin with, and he gonna remain a devil, so we gonna give him the devil's reward.
Right.
But if he's able to reform, that means he wasn't never the devil to begin with. He wanted us.
Right. Right. And on that note, we could drop the mic and walk off stage. We had 2 hours and 30 minutes. Hey, y'all, we got 1,800 people in here. Everybody hit the like button right now before we get up out of here. If you want to show Raw, hey, some love, like I say, we want to keep them out the plantation. We're going to have them back as soon as we can. We got the Cash App right here dropped on the screen and the PayPal for the people that was asking. We was dropping it every people was asking. I was just dropping it every 5-10 minutes. But yeah, everybody send them $5 right now. Put them in the game. If you want to show them $25, whatever you want to do, man. You know, if you feel in your heart. What else we gotta say? I was gonna ask you something else before we get out of here, bro. It was something about maybe it wasn't supposed to ask you right now about it. I'm gonna write. I think I might have had it wrote down. No, I didn't have it wrote down. Yeah, that's it. Maybe it'll come to me later. Yeah, Robert, we're gonna be back, man. Smithsonian Institute exposed, man. You know what I'm saying? They can go ahead,
You know, half of that stuff is part of our natural wealth. Some of them artifacts, and then they gotta be held accountable really for messing with our ancestral burial sites. That's like an
So,
automatic defense. No, right?
well, we're gonna
Just
give
try
them
to
some
do it like
homework.
this is what I was gonna ask you about the burial sites. So we had certain rules, like at certain temples, it said do not disturb the tomb of matter of fact, on King Tut's tomb, it said that they admitted to that. The King Tut tomb said, "Do not disturb the tomb of the dead, or your butt cracking ass cheeks gonna fly off, and your eyeballs go."
Yeah, actually, the ones who was credited with discovering King Tut's tomb, all of them died a miserable death in real
Right,
life.
right. That's what I
And
was gonna say.
that's all of those tombs with those elders in there like that say that don't disturb
Yeah,
this tomb,
yeah,
right? Because it's stuff in there, man. It's energy that comes with you moving that energy around that follow you wherever you go. It's on you now. It's like skunk stink. You can't get it off.
yeah, yeah. This is deep. Or they might have some 2,000-year-old spiders, some kind of mosquito in stasis. They have them in
Ain't no
stasis.
telling.
As soon as you open that shit up, the motherfuckers come out of stasis and bite you in the crack of your ass and inject some shit from 2,000 years ago. Now you walking around with your eyeball, man. Tell you, our ancestors. Look, we getting back there, man. But our ancestors wasn't nothing to play with when they can write that shit on there like that, and then exactly how they said it. 2,000 years, he walk up in there, and same shit happened to him, just like they said it on the wall. Man, that's power right there, boy.
But
You
you
ever
got to
want some
remember, it's just like a contagious disease. When you've seen enough people catch it, you know what it is,
Uh-huh.
right? They didn't seen it enough. They didn't perform the magic enough, so they know how it works.
Right.
So they can tell you that if somebody do it, this is what they should expect.
Right.
And I don't think they should get nothing less for bothering God bless the dead.
Yeah.
You ain't got no business messing with them. Just remember, the Smithsonian was put there to conceal information that would disturb the Outer Africa narrative.
Right.
They was also put in there to disturb the narrative that it was anything significant in the Americas before 1492.
Right.
But as we speak, they are exhuming the Monkey King village in South America. And it's huge. We had massive citadels, cities, and castles all over the land. When you talk about the Nobel Peace Prize, right? You know the guy that created it was notable for creating dynamite. That's what his claim to fame was. But remember, they used the dynamite and the TNT to blow up all of those massive buildings with controlled demolition way back then.
Yeah.
The Great Fire of Chicago was started with explosives, but they told us it was a wooden city and it was started by a cow flipping the farmer's lantern into a hay bale. That don't even make sense. That don't put a whole city of Chicago to burn. Then the other half of Chicago, there used to be a shelf that floated on Lake Michigan. They blew that up, and it's under Lake Michigan now, down off Navy Pier. Wow. And that's why they got shows, Marvel shows trying to explain the architecture and how they did it when this was supposed to be underwater.
Wow.
They done came up with some of the most fanciful explanations for how they built this stuff, this lighthouse sticking out the water 300 yards away from any land.
Yeah.
Right? With a tunnel that go to the land. Come on now. It was made on the ground first, but they sunk it. It's the same thing as St. Bernard Parish in right outside New Orleans.
Yeah.
It was a shelf that sat over the ocean in the Gulf. And during the wars, they blew the shelf and made it collapse. And now that's why you got a church steeple with a cross on it sticking out of the water.
Mm.
That tell you that it was post 1492.
Yep. Yeah.
Now, So we know that when they came, we had a bustling civilization, but they told us we was all savages living in tents across the land.
Yeah.
Man, that is the most ridiculous thing. Lewis and Clark is the ones who said wasn't no royalty on the land because all the castles was empty. They the ones did the what they call it, the survey.
Yeah.
They were surveyors. And then you got to look at the people that accompanied them on the trip, and that explains everything.
The dirty Moors. The dirty Moors who spoke our language.
Yep.
They did.
They didn't just encounter us in 1492. And Columbus didn't think he was in India because India was Hindustan at the time.
Right. And they called the area that they call in Arizona was called India, according to what our Nana said in her book. She said that Indian Valley, Arizona, Grand Canyon, all that was called the Indus Valley. And what she said that Colorado River ran down through the Indus Valley, and that was her land. And that's why they found a big ass statue when they walk in the Grand Canyon. The statue of the goddess, that's Inanna. That's Inanna, the statue that when they walk into that temple down in the Grand Canyon. They found a Hindu statue. That's a statue of Inanna. I'm coming out with a tape on the Grand Canyon that's gonna crack heads and twist caps. Like I got AI cooking up some stuff on the AI side. Like y'all know if you listen to that Cabbage Patch Kids, I put that out like 2 or 3 days ago.
I don't know. I got to catch up on the ones. You were putting them out too fast.
Yeah, I got some more coming out, man. Cause we don't got that much time on the clock. So like I'm not taking like I'm putting them out and like maybe people will go back and listen to it later. But like I say,
I know you like Jacob. You like Jacob Fatu. All gas, no brakes with it. You know what I mean?
No breaks. Hey, look, I got 2 tapes coming out tomorrow. I got 2 more tapes coming out tomorrow. So like we non-stop. It's like a drug for me to be learning some, to get some crack a code or learn some that they hide and just breaking some kind of sequence. I'm a student of Tahuti, so I'm an alchemist. Like Tahuti say, take it from the top. See, Tahuti actually brought it's like certain things when this pop up, when I see certain things happening, I just remember certain things, little catchy things that Tahuti used to say. He was always made you feel good about, like he was I ain't never seen him worry. He was always comfortable. Like as far as like when you panic, he ain't never panic. You know what I'm saying? He was always, hold on, now let me figure this out. You know what I'm saying? So who you like, let me figure this out. Or like if you come in there like he fucking around and he messing with trying to figure something out and you jump in, he gonna put you into it. You can do it, put your back into it. That's Tahuti, man. You can do it, put your back into it. Huh? I'll tell you, he that type of guy, man. But on that note, y'all, we about to get up out of here, y'all. Hey, y'all, so cheap, bro. I hate some love on the Cash App, y'all. We about to be up out of here, y'all. We're gonna be back. We're gonna keep you updated on what's going on in the land. But as we see now, all the truth is unfolding, and the dark energy, not the good dark energy, the bad dark energy is going out, and it's going out so fast. It's rapid. Because they've been hanging around, I think, for a little too long, longer than what they're supposed to hang around. This dark energy, evil energy, it's been hanging around too long now. So it's a wrap. With the kids is really what got them out of here. Messing with the kids is really what got them out of here. Getting them up out of here fast.
I don't know, because they've been doing that for a couple thousand years. That ain't nothing new.
So I'm saying like 1,000 years ain't that long for them though. For these beings,
when you trace that back through the religious world into a cultural point of origin, you end up in Babylon.
Yeah.
And remember, the Babylonian magic system was money magic, sex magic, and blood magic.
Yeah.
And the children is the most powerful source of the blood magic and the sex magic for what they're trying to accomplish.
Right.
If you don't realize that your religion is, those are called sin rights. right? Seeing rights. It was a deity in the Middle East called Seeing, also known as Ninner Seeing. His practitioners was the ones who followed those three systems: money magic, sex magic, blood magic. To be a sinner is to be a participant in those three systems knowingly or unknowingly. It has nothing to do with you making errors in life because there's no rule book to how to live life. You have to, every child born got to figure it out for themselves. And most of them don't make it. Most of them don't make it. But they still got to figure life out. Once you figure life out, then you have to teach as many people as you can how it works. And you normally kept that in family structures for the ease of the transferring of the information from mother and father to the children. Right? They gave us this idea of the 1 and 2 child household because we used to have one woman that had 20 babies. That was not uncommon for us.
That's right.
And then sometimes she got 20 babies that now they all by the same daddy back then.
Yeah.
And he got 3 more women with just as many babies. And they all his.
Yeah.
But we don't accept the culture we had because of the culture we was born in. The culture we was born in is the go along to get along culture. Everybody doing it, so I got to do it this way. And this is what ruins the psychology of the individual trying to adapt to a culture that's foreign to his nature, as opposed to developing your nature around your own culture. You're a different human being. You're a different quality, a different standard. And that's what the problem was with us. So they came over here and rewrote how we live and legislated us into submission. Enforced by the gun.
So I see won't hear somebody moving in my house. Hey, well, Rob, we about to get up out of here, y'all. We will be back for more. And like I say, tune in tomorrow. We got some more top secret information coming out. We've been dropping the top secret operational files. But like I said, that Cabbage Patch one, man, that really was a trip to know all them souls, the millions of souls, or people are walking around without a soul. And them same people can be used for a Manchurian candidate. They use them Cabbage Patch Kids later on for Manchurian candidate because they can be easily mind controlled with the MK Ultra, being that they don't got a soul, the soul essence. You know what I'm saying? So that's a crazy part. But we about to be up out of here, y'all. Free Dr. Malachi Z York, free Jeff Ford, free Larry Hoover, free all of our political prisoners. We send love throughout the balanced universe to all. Wadu. Peace.
Wadu.
One love.
Rest in peace inside of Shakur.
Yeah. Rest in peace to the sister Shada Kashur. I made that announcement the other day. She's a beautiful sister, real pretty lady, man. So yeah, but at least she ain't die in jail. You know what I'm saying? At least she ain't die in jail for some day, and then ain't no way she could have shot that cop. You know, ain't no way. But
they know she didn't do that.
Yeah, Corntail Pro Operations. And then it's kind of like too, like, you know, when you go rob somebody, when you say me, you go rob somebody. If you get killed, they blame me for your murder.
Yeah, felony murder.
Yeah. So it's like that type of thing. But they try to spin that on. Oh, she was with them when they were shooting. But I believe that them people didn't even shoot the cop. I believe the cop got shot by one of the other cops.
We're getting that on another chapter, L.
Yeah, let's get up out of here. Wadu.
Never have it been made so clear.